But then the news, everything is saying, "Oh yeah, there's no unemployment. People have jobs. Everything is good." We're not seeing anything crazy on the news. It's just like everything is good and gravy. It's perfect. What are you telling me?
Only if you believe the news, right?
Oh.
There's 3 million job shortages in cybersecurity, which is true, but not during a recession in cybersecurity. One day you'll see that 200,000 more candidates get to LinkedIn, and then 4 days later they'll drop by 200,000. So I think there's an article recently that said 40% of the jobs that are out on LinkedIn and other sites are not real.
Should I still get into cybersecurity now, or call it yeah bye?
The market is completely confusing. And most of the individuals I talk to are unhappy, worried about their current job, whether they're going to lose it, and folks that are obviously looking. My job is to reduce the amount of uncertainty and risk. Then it's my job to make sure you don't take a counteroffer.
Mm.
One, it's embarrassing that you left. Two, it's going to cost 1.5 times to backfill you. And then three, simply, why weren't you worth the money before? You
Mm.
go to the job interview, it's exciting, someone desires you. So then you forget to ask good business questions because you're being flirted with, and you feel good that someone desires you, and you get wrapped up because you only have 45 minutes to make a good impression.
You can actually get through all of these job interviews, and it's just a total flirt. It's not going anywhere.
Correct.
What is that? Welcome to the Superhuman Mindset Podcast. Today, I have an extraordinary guest. Man, this guy is a connector, he's a founder, he's a board member, he's neurodiverse, an author. And you know something? Something really interesting though, he is an implementer of fractional talent models. I don't even know what the hell that means, but we'll talk about that. He's a camper, he's a fishing guru, and he's the vice president and co-founder of Identity Security and co-founder of Continuous Pen Testing AI. He's been in
Wow, man.
cybersecurity for 23 years and spearheaded innovative solutions and talent acquisition strategies. I don't even know how someone does that for 23 years and hasn't even configured a pen, what you call it, a firewall. So, Joe Abraham, welcome to the
Wow.
Superhuman Mindset
For those titles, I'm the size of 2.5 people. So,
Podcast.
yeah, no, I guess I'm lucky, man. I get to meet people like yourself.
Wow. So,
I'm
let's talk
blessed.
about this. Have
Yeah.
you configured a firewall before?
I have not configured a firewall before. My gift is configuring the human firewall. And then I call the people that I know, people like you or other people that know how to do that. And then I ask my stupid questions on how to configure it. I
So,
am getting better at watching YouTube though to be able to do some of that stuff. But that's the little details, part of my squirrel brain where I can handle the human aspects, but soldering and that type of fun stuff, I'll try. Uh,
wow.
I had engine class in high school. I had the cleanest engine, even though it didn't work.
Wow.
So
So wait, I just want to make sure that I
yeah,
got exactly what you said. So I've spent the last 15, 16 years of my life building servers, configuring firewalls, doing all of these amazing, crazy things. But then I get to be in a space with you where without you, I can't do anything that I want to do in this executive space. How does that even happen? That's not even fair.
yeah. No, I mean it's well, we're in a very unusual situation in today's market, right? This is
Hmm.
our fifth business recession since I've been in the working world, but the first cybersecurity recession, right? So everybody's sort of flat footed in this market that is in cybersecurity that have never experienced something like this before.
Hmm.
So the market is completely confusing. And most of the individuals I talk to are unhappy, worried about their current job, whether they're going to lose it, and folks that are obviously looking. So they were never, you always sort of hear there's 3 million job shortages in cybersecurity, which is true, but not during a recession in cybersecurity, right?
But then the news, everything is saying, oh yeah, there's no unemployment. People have jobs. Everything is good. We're not seeing anything crazy on the news. It's just like everything is good and gravy. It's perfect. What are you telling me?
Only if you believe the news, right?
Oh.
I mean, I don't want to poke the bear on any of that, but in the end, I mean, for the last 27 years, I watch people, and
Mm,
I've been watching the trends. I watch LinkedIn every day. I see LinkedIn battle the bots in cybersecurity. Example, one day you'll see that 200,000 more candidates get to LinkedIn, and then 4 days later, they'll drop by 200,000. And Brian Krebs did a post, and I gave him some information on that, which was really fascinating because we don't know what is real, who are bots. You look at Twitter, you look at some of the other ones. I think there's an article recently that said 40% of the jobs that are out on LinkedIn and other sites are not real. They're the ghost jobs or vaporware. And, part of that is companies trying to spend their money that they've already spent, keeping the postings up, or they're mining for talent, or, there's agreement but not alignment on when they can hire, in jobs in general. So those patterns sort of been true in the space, at least the last five recessions. Um, the patterns in the job process of hunting and bettering yourself and telling your stories, that's not changed
hmm.
in the last five recessions. People like you and I were talking about before, you know, when you're doing professional bodybuilding or weightlifting for competition, all
Yep.
you have to do is start and get that frame of mind of sort of figuring that out and just getting some guides like, men's health. If I could write, I'd do a Joel's job health. I wrote the book, but
You
a
you
part of
have
that is,
written though, Joe. You still have written. You've written a
yeah, but
book
it's
on.
dated. But even
Yeah.
though it hasn't changed, I mean, I found it on Goodwill, so I know I made it
Well,
for
your
a
book
dollar.
found itself in
Yes.
Goodwill.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Wow.
excited about that. I like
Wow.
shopping at Goodwill.
So what is in your book, regardless of how dated it is? What is in your book that you'd
I
want
think
anything
probably the
people should know?
most great question. I think the reason why I wrote the book and the thing that I wanted it across to everybody in the world was the formula for accomplishments.
Mm,
And it's a pattern that I also saw in the lean startup methodology of creating a business model. And it's very simple, but hard to do when you're so close to what you're doing. It's basically um, business problem plus your solution equals accomplishment.
mm,
In the startup world, it's business problem plus your solution equals market opportunity. But I realized really early on in the business, I interviewed this woman and she had on her resume, save $500 by creating this Excel spreadsheet. And I was like, wow, I don't know if that's a lot or a little. Anyone who will look at your resume, there's no context if they can't talk to you, right? So
yep.
my job is to connect. And so I called her up and I'm like, you have a variety of skills I'm looking for, but I was just curious, what does this mean? She's like, well, we were having a lot of problems, a lot of customer service issues because morale was down and people weren't getting paid on time. So I created this Excel spreadsheet and I saved $500. And then in the process of talking to her, it really more flowed like this. Customer experience was down, losing customers, employer morale was down, create an Excel spreadsheet that automated the
Mm.
way people got paid. And as a result, uh, employee morale went up, customer numbers went up, and increased profitability. And all she had was this little thing that said, create an Excel spreadsheet, save $500.
Wow.
Now she has something that she can go out to market and tell a better value story.
So if I am on the market right now,
Yeah.
or I'm basically, whether you are experienced, whether you're not
Yep.
experienced, you're trying to get into the market, what do I do to create that value in myself?
I think I think most people are. I think the market is really screwy right now, and they tell you, or if you're a technologist, to have a two-page resume. That's completely bonkers. I'd swear, but I don't want to do that. So it's really difficult to try to guess the language when you look at a job posting
Mm,
and try to map your language to their language. It's almost impossible, especially now with AI, trying to guess what it is that's important. So I believe if you can start looking at having conversation about outcomes and outcome based things,
Mm.
and some of those are based on problems that you solved. But a lot of people don't take the business problem far enough left.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is that when you talk to cybersecurity people, they'll always talk about a security problem,
Okay.
and it doesn't go far left to how that impacts the business, right?
Mm.
So if you're coming from medical, let's say hospital to manufacturing industry, and you talk about a security high trust or HIPAA or something that is related to medical industry, the person that you're talking to in the manufacturer is not going to get it.
Mm.
But if you move far enough left where you're talking about, you know, how you were able to protect customer trust and protect the brand by doing X, Y, and Z to get the high trust certification,
Mm-hmm.
and go through that process, the person you're interviewing will hear that you protected customer trust or brand integrity, because those are keywords for other leaders within an organization that not in security that they're all worried about as well. So it doesn't really matter if your what you did resonates with the industry. It's
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you tied it, you glued it together with something that they could relate to that they're worried about. So part of it is just organizing it.
Okay, so what if I have heard a lot about cybersecurity and I've been dragging my feet? Should I still get into cybersecurity now or call it yeah bye? Screw this.
So I think a lot of people look at cybersecurity as doing firewalls or being a CISO. But when you look at the industry as a whole, there's a boatload of jobs to the left and to the right of cybersecurity,
Mm.
right? So you have marketing, you have sales, you have really any traditional job right now that someone's doing out of the industry that could do in the industry. I was a poli sci major, art minor, two completely useless things. And I found my way in and learned and talked to a lot of people. It took really a good 7 years for me coming from staffing to get into cybersecurity, to believe that I could solve problems in security with skill sets and people, and shift the conversation
Mm.
about security, not just throwing people up against the wall. But I think people, like I'll give an example, a
Yep.
developer, in talking to a lot of developers, they don't think they can get into cybersecurity. They think it's jumping the Grand Canyon.
Mm.
But in the end, it's like jumping over a pencil,
Pencil. Yep.
right? Because cybersecurity is a customer of development, or developers are a customer of
Mm, so far.
cybersecurity. So if you're a good developer, you have security tendencies in how you develop your code. So
Absolutely.
so really for the first 7 years of getting in security, I had to draft people from application owners, engineers, architects, leaders into security to find those folks that had that ability, right?
Wow.
So they should look at it and not be afraid of it. If
Now,
I can do it, anyone can.
and you say if you can do it, anyone can. You
Yeah,
talk about being neurodiverse. What does that mean?
yeah. You just have to learn your strengths and weaknesses, right? I don't write very well, so I work really hard to make sure that when I write something, it has a purpose. I think
Mm.
I lucked out a long time ago. There was a guy by the name of Peter Lufkowitz that was like the original gangster of recruiting and staffing,
Mm.
and he taught a lot about social engineering before it was social engineering, and it was a way to try to control candidates and clients where you really have no influence in. And I call it positive social engineering, because it's a lot about phraseology and different things to be able to make sure that my job is to reduce the amount of uncertainty and risk
Mm. Mm.
in a role that all I have is uncertainty and risk. So
So,
part of,
so let's talk
yeah,
about that for a second. Your job is to reduce the amount of uncertainty. But then most people are getting calls from recruiters left, right, center, and they are just like, man, they're not trying to help me. They're just trying to make a buck.
yeah, they're slanging people, right? And
So
that's,
what is that then?
well, because that's how they're being judged. How many calls, how many interviews, how many blah blah blah. But when you're doing, if you come through the ranks and you do executive type stuff, or security is a very small market. If you mess that up, you can get blackballed pretty easily. But in
Mm.
the end, what I mean by taking out uncertainty is like when I deal with like you as a candidate, right?
Yep.
So there's a couple things that I do on the client side, and you as a candidate, and this is just going back to original gangster stuff, less little bit less than what I'm doing now. But in the end, after you told me what you're looking for and the issues and concerns that you have,
Hmm.
and I go and find a client and I sort of do the same type of thing with them on what they're looking for, then it's my job to make sure you don't take a counteroffer. It's not, I'm not saying it's not that you shouldn't take a job. I'll never tell you to take a job or not take a job. It's to help remind you that, if you're currently working, most likely they're going to give you a counter offer because of several reasons.
Mm.
One, it's embarrassing that you left. Two, it's going to cost 1.5 times to backfill you. And then three, simply, why weren't you worth the money before?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And a lot of it's just helping people remember and think through why it was they're looking to leave, because everybody wants to feel wanted. When you go to the job interview, it's exciting. Someone desires me. So then you forget to ask good business questions because you're being flirted with, and you feel good that someone desires you, and you get wrapped up because you only have 45 minutes to make a good impression, right?
So
And
what I'm hearing you say is you can actually get through all of these job interviews, and it's just a total flirt. It's not going anywhere.
correct.
What is that?
Well, you want me to be honest?
Yeah, we.
Like you and I had spoke about before, and this is going to probably get a bunch of hate mail, but I would say a lot of diverse security leaders are getting hosed because of DEI. They're going to, check box you who you are. Oh, I filled this X number of boxes of diverse candidates, and you get played with. You may be too expensive. You may not be the right fit. Whatever the skinny is, you go through the motions because you fit a requirement. That's why I'll never do a retainer. I don't do retainers. I either win with the best talent or I lose. And if the reason why I don't do a retainer is because they want me to keep track of everything, and I don't need to keep track of everything. I don't discriminate. I find the best people.
Hmm.
It's up to you to do your best, and it's up to the client to do their best. On the client side, just like I was telling you about the velvet hammer of why you shouldn't take a counteroffer, I do the same things with them.
Mm. Mm.
I reiterate based on what you told me, going through the person's background, and I try to hold them accountable. Like, for example, how many interviews is the interview process? How long does it normally take? And at least try to get some feedback. I can't make them hit the time frame they give me, but I can
Mm-hmm.
at least tell you it's going to take a month or
Mm.
2 months,
Mm.
so you can do what you need to do and not feel like they're stringing you along. And if they are, there's a reason. I'm going to at least get the reason and let you know
Mm.
that this is where you sit within the opportunity. A lot of people won't do that because they're afraid you're going to leave,
Mm.
and they'll string you along. It makes no sense, but whatever.
So if you're a candidate, then what do you do? Do you just sit and then
No,
say,
so when you're a candidate, part of your responsibility is to make sure that you're also interviewing the headhunter, right? If you use a headhunter, to make sure that you have common ground,
Mm.
that they know what they're doing. Because you find a bad headhunter, they're going to go out and they're going to embarrass you for other clients that don't want to work with them.
Mm.
Now, when you ask the more difficult question, what do you do with the clients that are ghosting you and the clients recruiters that are inept? And I don't want to completely just bash them. When I mean inept is that if we just focus strictly on cybersecurity, it's
Yep.
only one finger of the hand of responsibilities that they recruit for, and usually the population is very small, right? So they're not very good at it. It's not that they don't want to be; they just don't have a lot of experience.
Mm.
Um, but your customer experience as a candidate matters,
Mm.
and they're burning a lot of bridges. It's like zombie land. So when a job posts, I know people look at LinkedIn and they'll see a posting that they may want to apply to, and it shows 10 trillion people. Looks like 10 trillion people applied, but I think we were talking about at the Cyber Leaders Happy Hour a couple of weeks ago. That's
Yep.
impressions. So they're not really doing any favors to the companies who are paying for those postings either, right? But it is totally like zombie land where you have all these people running to the posting. You're not going to get in that way. You have to network.
So we shouldn't be applying on LinkedIn.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you should at least see who you have a first connection, or maybe a second connection, or you leverage a connection to see if they can introduce you into that position or someone at that company that can vouch and submit you. And then if you don't have anybody, then you got to do the job black hole.
Wow.
right? And that's a discouraging thing.
Yeah. What world are we in? Do we have an idea how long this is going to go for?
Oh, I think no, we don't. I think we haven't hit rock bottom yet. I think it feels like it. I mean, the only reason why I'm saying that is we have an election year, which throws everything off. I mean, we have a war footing that we are or we're not getting into. You look at the amount of vulnerabilities and the amount of attacks are going up. Um, Microsoft's big thing came out. You know, there's a bunch of other big things that came out. I'm trying to remember the other ones. I apologize, but they're not small ones, right? And I think a lot of the companies right now are sort of, and this is just conjecture, but to me it makes common sense. And I know common sense is not common, but if it only costs $200 a month to have unlimited attacks,
Yep.
right, as a hacker, and the cost to defend is so high, they're just relying on their cyber insurance until
Yeah.
something.
So, and that was going to be one of the questions I was going to ask. I mean, the more and more I talk to companies, I'm realizing there's one on one hand they are saying, you know what, if I get hacked, I have cyber insurance. Cyber insurance will pay for it. At worst, I have a policy that covers more than what I would be liable for. Worst case scenario, I end up having to pay a little bit more, and it's better than how much I would have had to pay execs and engineers and all of that. So are we going to get to a point where companies are saying, screw cybersecurity, we'll just buy the
I
insurance for it?
well, I mean, look what happened with look how insurance has changed, right? You had Russia, the code, some code for, I don't want to name names. I don't know if I can do that, but like they said, well, it's an act of war, or we may not cover that,
Mm.
right? I think you're starting to see the insurance companies are now taking, everything's a la carte. We had to update our cyber insurance. We have 10 million. It was a hassle because they know when everything went a la carte. So I think these companies they're gonna feel comfortable like they have cyber insurance, but if they don't do the process right when something happens, they're not going to get insured,
Mm.
right? They're, if you didn't give us a timely information, well, screw you're screwed.
Oh, so what I'm hearing you say is then getting the cyber insurance is not just a blanket for, it's
They're
also
not. They
including.
got hammered. The cyber insurance. Like I've started talking to a variety of different companies trying to understand the market. As soon as you file an inquiry that you're interested in cyber insurance, they immediately do an external scan.
Oh.
Yep. So they externally scan your network, from the edge on in to see what kind of hygiene you have, and then they'll make a determination whether they want to talk to you or not. Some of
Mm.
the insurance companies I've spoken to, they're like, if you have an outdated OS, it's like a lot of manufacturing companies too. They won't even talk to you.
Hmm.
Other insurance companies I've talked to, I got a couple more calls today. Some are, hey, we have this other thing. If we can do an internal scan, we can give you a discount. We can see, how bad your hygiene really is,
Wow.
and they're giving discounts in that, which is great. I've heard of a company out of the UK. I don't have any names yet. I'm trying to get it, but maybe doing a warranty. So, like if you do two-factor authentication, they'll give a warranty on that
Warranty
to
on
help you
that.
reduce the cost. But
Mm.
I mean, we know all the warranty calls, you know what I mean? So some companies going to come in and make a shit ton of money, and then everybody get irritated because it's only as good as the warranty. Here, you know what I mean? I don't know, but it's a lot of innovations going on. It's really fascinating.
So let's talk about the part that you do very best. How do you find, what's your definition of a super amazing talent? And how do you find the best talent?
Wow, that's a really hard question because I do not believe in resumes. Resumes are okay. I mean, you have to have them based on what it is. I have to talk to you. So the difference between some in my space, which I'm a self-hating recruiter, I guess, because I don't like to be. I'm not a recruiter, but I'm a connector. But corporate HR and talent agencies in general, corporate HR's job is to disqualify you. So they're going to look at paper, they're going to look at your LinkedIn profile, and that their job is to protect the company and disqualify.
Mm.
My job as a connector is to qualify.
Mm.
And to qualify, I have to talk to you to find out what you want to do, what makes sense, are we a match?
Wow.
Um, So I've always sort of, if you close your eyes, I've always sort of figured that I was a gold magnet with going over thousands of galvanized nails, picking out the gold nails, as Peter Lefkowitz would say. And part of that is, your story, helping you understand your story, working with you to, help you with your value props in a way that helps me understand to go out and share your value props with other people. Um, it doesn't matter if you have zero experience. Everybody has value,
Mm.
right? I'll do some homework assignments. People
Mhm.
can either do them or not, and
Mhm.
that's to help them better their own stuff. And I don't care if you do it or don't do it. But you'll see the ones that are committed to it will get some of the homework done, and then I'll get a lot of people, even if it's years ago. We went this like, oh shit, I should have done this. 5 years later, I'll come back saying, hey, I finally did my assignment. I never make anybody feel bad, right?
Wow.
Because it takes you as long as it takes you to get through. But I'm not. I don't. I don't have the magic. Hey, this group of people are perfect. There's no perfect. So I know it's not really an answer when we're dealing with human beings. And
Yep.
this is another fun example. I could find you the best that you tell me what you're looking for. I go and find you that opportunity. It's right in line with what you're looking for. You go home, you go out to dinner, eat dinner, get diarrhea, and take it as a sign not to take that job. You're dealing with humans,
Deal with
right?
humans. Yep.
You can only go so far.
Wow. So you have a cyber leaders happy hour.
Yeah.
What is that about? It still blows my mind that you can get all these execs that is so hard to even find their time to all come together evenings and just chat. How do you do that?
I just think it's a situation where everyone feels isolated. Nobody is connected. We've had a lot of people that have been unemployed. Security people, for example, don't want to share their problems.
Mm.
And it's okay to feel vulnerable. And we've just sort of created an environment for CIOs, CTOs, CISOs, privacy officers to be human. We speak for ourselves. We can lean on each other. We can share our network. It was just I guess an act of God to be able to have enough people say, "Hey, I wouldn't know what I would have done without you." Um, Talking to you every week for 6 to 8 weeks because they were looking for work. And I knew it was time to be able to pull this off based on what we're experiencing in the market because it's not an alone thing. It's not me trying to do anything. It's really the community has to help each other. It's
Wow.
really what it boils down to.
So you grew up in Wisconsin.
Yep.
How does a kid from Wisconsin grow up to be this phenomenal man that says, I am going to be a connector? Why do you carry that burden on your shoulders? For what?
I'm lucky. I mean, I read patterns. And I was fortunate enough to fall into the staffing business a long time ago to start seeing the patterns of people and to move past the patterns of people into how companies leverage skill sets and expertise for peaks and cycles, and then work really hard to shake the imposter syndrome to get into cybersecurity and really understand the patterns within cybersecurity. Obviously, I'm not an expert, but how it's so dysfunctional and how they leverage people and how they're missing skill sets all over the place, but everybody thinks that they need an FTE
Mm.
or because it's a security role, I need to hire everybody permanent or I have to go to the big integrator. And now based on the recession and COVID, they're now seeing that they can plug certain skill sets
Mm.
in a way that helps them solve their problems.
Mm.
I'm not revolutionizing anything. I'm just trying to help people see the tree through the forest because if we understand patterns and we understand where AI and ML is taking us,
Yep.
that means that AI is going to create efficiencies.
Mm.
As pen testing, um, with AI and ML with the new platform we launched, and I'm not trying to shill here, but I got scared into getting into this platform because we're able to reduce the time it takes for a pen test
Wow.
based on the BS work to allow the operator more time to manually test. And if that is an indicator of where things are going, that means I, as a knowledge based worker, you, as a knowledge based worker, will most likely have 2 to 3 part-time jobs in 2 to 3 years where you'll be in control
Hmm.
and you'll be able to fire the bad employers. We're just not there yet, and we're going to suffer before we get there. But I just I've seen this really since 2015, this broke ass system, and it's really just how to secure talent, and how do you as an individual that has extra time that is not a conflict to help companies protect themselves and secure their brands because they would buy the time,
So
five
if
ten
I
hours,
am,
right?
if when you talk about securing the talent, what are the things that you would tell candidates right now to start doing
So
while
like
you're
as
looking?
you go, I would start leveraging Chat GPT, some of the AI tools,
Mm-hmm.
and there's different prompts that you can do to educate the tooling about, the Chat GPT about you. Once you feel comfortable with your resume and you feel it represents you, and that's a whole separate, topic here, then I would ask if I wanted to, first of all, what jobs can I do, and jobs that I would not be recognized for, and
Mm,
watch what it spits out. And then secondly, once you have your resume, make sure you feed it all your old resumes that have more content to get down to
mm,
2 pages, whatever you want.
mm,
Then I would ask, what kind of services could I provide
mm.
if I wanted to do fractional work? And it will help you build your service offering.
Yep.
And then you just need to incorporate. You don't want to do, you can wait till you get some money coming in, but you don't want to do your Social Security 1099. There's too much risk in cybersecurity. You
Mm.
want either an LLC or corp to corp, or partner with a company that's willing to shield you for that,
From that.
and then go to market, and we'll start to see Upwork for cybersecurity. I believe we're trying to eventually get there. Unfortunately, I seem to be going the long way of proving that this model is real, and I'm not nuts. But you will be able to share, and people will buy your time.
Wow. So make sure you do some prompt engineering. I actually have a GPT specifically for resumes and all of that that can help if you can check it out.
Yeah,
Chat
we can
GPT.
come up with something together too, buddy, and we could share it with
Absolutely.
resume prompting.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I think in the end, I'd love to be able to get any leader, CIO, CISO, you know. Also, the reason why I partnered with this platform is because it's a SaaS platform,
Mm,
and it can be purchased online. You can buy units of time to make it a little bit easier for you to acquire the 2, 3, 5 hours, 10 hours you need from an engineer to solve that problem. It's you as leaders that need to figure out how can you purchase and get these needs met, because going to an integrator, it's going to be way too expensive. It's
expensive.
not
Yeah.
flexible. HR is not necessarily going to know what to do with it. They may embrace this.
Yep.
Staffing companies are not really going to know what to do.
Yep.
But you may have friends out there that are good people that you would like to buy some of their time.
Yep. Absolutely. So if you were to look back, I have two questions. We'll go back. If you
Yep.
were to look back to, let's just say, mid of last year, a year ago, up until now, what would you tell security folks? And moving forward, what's the message you have for everybody that's trying to get in here, or everybody, anyone who is displaced, trying to look for a job? What you got to tell them?
So I would probably always say that if you're afraid, if you're looking, don't give up. Make sure you network. If you have a grievance mindset right now based on the pain that you're facing for being unemployed for a period of time, that will come across in an interview. So just
Mm,
keep mindful. Try to let the negative thoughts fly out, which I know hearing some chump like me share that with you does not help pay the bills, but it's just something important. Also important to remember is that if you feel concerned about losing your job, or you have to network. You can't go to LinkedIn and say, "Hey, I'm out of a job. Can you help me?" You'll come back with nothing. You
mm,
have to go to your network and show good karma. Go to your network and just check in. Hey, it's a shitty time. Even if you're unemployed, it's been a crazy time. Can I help in any way? You can't just go to your network that you haven't done good things for in a while, or checked in a while, to say, "I'm desperate. I need some help." It'll never respond. It's not you. It's just your network.
wow. And where can people find you? What do they need to know about your services? And what else you want to tell them?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Joel Abraham. My email address is joela@identifysecurity.com. Just if you're suffering, you don't have to be in security. I'll do my best to help out. If you are hurting, I'm happy to help. If you need cybersecurity talent, I have plenty to help fill. If you want to white label some continuous pen testing, I can do that too and save your clients some money. And if you need a pen test, I can do that too. But really, in the end, I just want to pay it forward. I had a lot of people who took this dyslexic kid that prattling on like I'm doing now, that gave me time. And I got to pay the bills, but I'll never sacrifice greed for doing the right thing. So
Wow.
I appreciate the opportunity here.
Well, the
I love you,
truth
buddy.
is out there now, just like the poster in the back says. The truth is out there. Joel,
Yes.
it's been a pleasure to have you here. Man, I love
I
you.
love you, buddy. I can't wait. We got to do more.
Yes,
ChatGPT prompting.
that's right. We will make it happen. And Superhumans, it's been
Yes.
great having
Thanks,
Joel
Felix. It's
here.
been an honor.
All right, it's been an
I
honor
love you,
too.
buddy.
All right, and then
Bye,
we'll check.
everybody.
All right, my superhuman, why haven't you subscribed? Make sure you click on the link below to subscribe. Thank you.